So how do you wake up earlier in the morning? And more importantly, when you do wake up, how do you make sure that you actually have energy and that you don't feel like you need to take a nap later on in the day? In this video, I'm going to give you some practical information on how you can make sure that your circadian rhythm is lined up properly so that you can wake up earlier in the day in order to get some extra things done and to make sure that you have the right amount of energy in the morning so you're not left feeling like you needed to go back to bed. What's up guys, it's Nick Kutse here from Mitochondria, and if this is the first time that you're on our channel and you want to learn more about light and how it affects your health and your circadian rhythm, then make sure that you click the subscribe and notification bell so that you don't miss any of our future videos. So I'm going to break this video down into two parts. The first part, we're going to be talking about why your circadian rhythm might be shifted forward. So that would mean, you would feel like you still need to get an extra 2 hours or so sleep after sunrise. And then in the second part, we're going to be talking about what the trigger is in order to make you feel awake in the morning. Most people probably think it is their light environment. And even though your light environment is extremely important in setting your circadian rhythm, it's not actually the trigger that wakes you up in the morning. So stick around to the end of the video because you're bound to get some information out of here that's going to help you to optimize your circadian rhythm. The first part, so we're going to be talking about, why is your circadian rhythm shifted forward? Now, there's some obvious ones, and, the most obvious thing is that you're staying up too late at night. Past sunset, you shouldn't really be staying up another 4 or 5 hours. If the sun is setting at 7 p.m. and you're going to bed at midnight, then there's a big discrepancy there based on the fact that you should be, limiting the amount of light exposure that you're getting after sunset as you would have had in nature and getting yourself off to bed. So the first problem is, whether you've made that decision that you're trying to stay up till midnight or beyond at night, then that is going to be the first problem because you're cutting into your sleep time then. And, if you're trying to get, 7-8 hours of sleep like you should be, then that is obviously going to push you past sunrise. That's the obvious one. The second one is talking about artificial light, which I already mentioned. And basically at nighttime, you shouldn't be exposed to any blue light. In nature, the only time we would have been exposed to blue light would have been during the day, coming from sunlight. So our brains basically perceive that whenever sunlight enters through our eyes, it basically tells our brain that it is daytime. So if you're using things like your cell phones or even overhead lighting, watching TV, those things all emit very high concentrations of blue light. And as a result, it prevents your body from releasing melatonin, which is your sleep hormone. So a really good idea is to make sure that you swap out, some of these devices or use softwares on them. Things like Iris is a really good thing to use on your laptops. On your cell phones, you can use something called Twilight. There's a great app to use from the Play Store, and that'll help to turn your screen more of a red color and get rid of the blue light. The third thing that you might be doing that will be pushing your circadian rhythm ahead is if you're eating too late at night. Basically, what should happen is your core body temperature should start to decrease at nighttime. So it'll peak during the day and have its main peak, when you're the most active. But then in the evenings, your core body temperature should start to decrease, and that is a very strong signal for your body to know that it is time to go to sleep. If you have a big meal after sunset, then basically what happens is that food goes to your stomach, and your body needs to break that food down. So as it is digesting that food, it is releasing heat, and that basically prevents your core temperature from dropping down and creating that signal for really high quality sleep that you would be needing. And obviously as a consequence, now you're not going to be sleeping properly, and all the things that are meant to happen while you're sleeping are not going to be completed by the time you want to wake up in the morning, and hence you're probably going to need an extra hour or two after even the sun rises. The last thing that might be happening is that while you are asleep, you're not actually getting a high enough quality of sleep because your bedroom environment is not correct. So there's two things that you want to focus on with your bedroom environment. Number one is your light environment. So if there's any light in your room, then that can wake you up at night or even prevent you from getting into the deeper phases of sleep. You'll more likely be something like napping, as that's what would happen in the day. If you were exposed to light, your brain goes, okay, well, let's just have a short nap. If your bedroom has light coming through to it from your neighbor's house or even other lighting in your own house, then your brain's probably just going to try and nap, even though you want to be sleeping 7 to 8 hours. So you want to be using things like blockout curtains, and if you have to, use a sleep mask, just to make sure that you aren't getting any light exposure while you're in your bedroom. The other problem, most people sleep with their bedrooms at too high of a temperature. You want to make sure that the temperature in your bedroom is between 18 and 21 degrees Celsius. That's 65 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit, and that is probably colder than most people are used to. I always say that what you should basically do is try and go as cold as you can provided that it's not too cold that it actually wakes you up in the night. And what you'll find is, you might be a little bit chilly, but you'll find that you will sleep really deeply and you'll wake up feeling a lot more refreshed in the morning. The next part we're going to jump into is the trigger. So what is the thing that should be waking you up in the morning, and it's probably missing for most people? Before I jump into that, if you are enjoying the content from today's video, please make sure that you hit the like button. That just helps us to know that these are the kind of videos that you guys like to see. It also helps the algorithm and make sure that more people get to see the content in these videos. So onto the trigger that should be waking you up in the morning. As I already mentioned, most people probably think that it is their light environment. But if you think about what happens in nature, and you can even see this with ancestral tribes, such as the Hadza tribe, they will actually wake up an hour before the sun has even risen. So before there is any light kind of cue in order to trigger their bodies to wake up. And what they found is that this trigger is actually their body temperature. So when you're out in nature, even before the sun has risen, the air temperature will start to increase. The problem is most of us are probably using like air conditioning in our rooms, or we've completely sealed off our rooms, our bedrooms. So you don't get this increase in air temperature in the morning, and that's why your body doesn't wake up before sunrise. So I am a fan of using things like air conditioning in order to lower the temperature of your room at night, if you can't do it by opening a window, if the air temperature outside isn't cold enough. But the problem is you can't leave that air conditioning on right through the early hours of the morning. So if you can use a timer, that is ideal. That'll help to make sure that it switches off at a certain time, be that at 4 a.m. And then from there you can start using natural air. I think it's a really good idea to have a window open, not just because it's going to help to match the air temperature outside, but also it's going to provide you with a lot more fresh air. And obviously having a high level of oxygen is going to make sure that your brain is functioning better, and then your sleep is going to be a much higher quality. So making sure that you use all the factors that I spoke about earlier to make sure that your circadian rhythm is aligned. So you're blocking artificial light at night, you're not purposefully staying up too late into the night. Make sure that you don't eat your food too late in the evening, and then also make sure that your bedroom is completely dark, and that you're controlling the temperature to somewhere between 18 to 21 degrees Celsius or 65 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. And then in the morning, you want to make sure that there is actually some kind of environmental cue for the air temperature to increase. So opening up a window, making sure that you don't have air conditioning on at that time is a great way to make sure that you wake up, feeling refreshed, and you have energy levels, you don't feel lethargic as you get out of bed at that time. One bonus thing that I just want to add in here, and coffee is a very interesting topic when we talk about circadian rhythms. I think it's definitely an overhyped health food in a lot of circles. So I'm not going to spend the rest of this video talking about whether or not I think coffee is good or bad. But what I will say is if you're using coffee to wake up in the morning, then that's also going to be a problem. So if you don't feel like quitting coffee and you still want to drink your coffee, then try and just shift it an hour or two, your first cup, at least an hour or two after you wake up in the morning, so that your brain actually has to wake itself up. Because what happens a lot of the time is, the first thing people do is they hop out of bed and they go straight to the coffee machine. Your body basically becomes dependent on the chemicals in coffee to basically, block the adenosine receptors in your brain, which is going to make you feel awake and alert. So you're not letting your body do that naturally. So try and do an hour or two, after you've woken up. Only have your coffee after then. If you can quit your coffee, then go for it. But if you're having it too early, that can also be another reason why you struggle to wake up and get out of bed until you've had, your morning caffeine fix. Finally, I have one video suggestion if you really enjoyed today's content. If you haven't already watched the video that is on the benefits of seeing the sunrise, then I highly suggest that you go and watch that now. I will leave a link in the description below. So if you are getting yourself up early, one of the best health hacks that you can do is to get outside and see the sunrise. Not only is this going to have a variety of health benefits directly, it's also going to help to set your circadian rhythm so that you will actually sleep better the next night, and obviously that's going to help you to wake up earlier the next day and see the next sunrise. If you guys have any questions from today's video, feel free to drop them in the comments section below. Otherwise, I hope that you have a great day further, and we will chat again soon. Cheers.